The sky above New Ganymede was dark with smoke. What was once a busy human colony was now broken and burning. Commander Do-hyun Kim walked through the ruins, his boots making soft sounds on the ash-covered ground. All around him lay broken pieces of buildings, machines, and hopes. 3 days ago, the Varalian ships had come without warning. The alien attackers showed no mercy. They destroyed the colony's defenses first, then the power plant, then the homes. Anyone who could escape did, so in small emergency ships, those who could not escape did not survive. Now Do-hyun and his small team were here to look for survivors and to see if anything could be saved. So far, they had found neither. "Commander Kim, sir," called a voice from behind him. Do-hyun turned to see Lieutenant Mina Park walking toward him. She was young for her rank, only 26, but she had proven herself smart and brave many times. Her short black hair was now gray with ash, and her uniform was dirty from searching through the ruins. "What did you find, Lieutenant?" asked. Do-hyun. Mina held up her scanner device. "No life signs in this area, sir, but I found something strange in the north section." "Strange how?" "The Varalians took all working weapons and destroyed the rest. That's their usual way. But there's a storage area where they missed some things." Do-hyun looked at her with interest. "Show me." They walked together through the broken streets of the colony. Other members of their team were checking buildings and gathering data. Everyone looked tired and sad. This was the third human colony destroyed by the Varalians in 3 months. Each attack was worse than the last. "Earth Command will tell us to leave soon," said Do-hyun as they walked. "Standard orders are to save who we can and go." Mina's face showed her unhappiness with this idea. "And the Varalians will attack another colony next week. And we will run away again." "Those are our orders," said Do-hyun, though he did not sound happy about it either. "My family lived here," said Mina suddenly. "My parents and my little brother. They moved here 2 years ago." Do-hyun stopped walking. "I didn't know that, I'm sorry." "They got out on one of the first ships," Mina said. "They're safe on Earth now, but this was their home. They worked hard to build it." She kicked a piece of metal on the ground. "And now it's all just trash, too." "The Varalians." They reached the north part of the colony. Here there had been a center for building and fixing machines. Now the big doors of the work buildings were broken open, and tools and parts were scattered everywhere. "In here," said Mina, leading the way into the largest building. Inside, half the roof was gone. Rain had come in and made puddles on the floor, but at the back of the building some areas were still dry. Mina pointed to several large metal containers. "The Varalians broke these open but didn't take everything," she said. Do-hyun looked inside the first container. It held parts for the colony's defense system. The big guns themselves were destroyed, but these were the control systems that made them work. "These are no good without the weapons," he said. "Yes," said Mina. "But look here." The second container held engine parts from the colony's transport vehicles. The third had power systems from the emergency backup generators. "And over there," Mina pointed to a corner of the building, "that's what's left of a Varalian scout ship that our defenses shot down before they broke through." Do-hyun walked over to look. The alien ship was mostly destroyed, but its strange crystal power core was still intact. The Varalians used technology that humans did not fully understand yet. Their ships moved faster and hit harder than human ships. Their power systems were more efficient. "They left all this because they think it's useless," said Mina. Her eyes were bright with an idea. "But what if it's not?" "What do you mean?" asked Do-hyun. "The Varalians think like Varalians. They see broken parts and think they can't be used. But humans have always been good at making new things from old parts." Do-hyun shook his head. "Lieutenant, I know you're upset about the colony, but—" "Sir," Mina cut in, "the Varalians will attack Proxima Colony next. That's what our intelligence says. They follow the same pattern every time. They're predictable." "And we're predictable too," said Do-hyun. "We run away." "What if we didn't?" asked Mina. "What if we stopped running and surprised them instead?" "With what?" "We have no ships that can fight their fleet. Our weapons can't get through their shields." Mina walked around the room, touching different pieces of equipment. "We don't have ships or weapons yet, But we have these parts. We have that alien power core. And we have Engineer Do Hyun knew Engineer Ryu well. He was the best engineer in their division, maybe the best in the whole Earth fleet. He could fix almost anything and build amazing things from simple parts. "What are you thinking, Lieutenant?" asked Do Hyun. "I'm thinking we build something," said Mina. "Something the Viralians won't expect. Something made from their own technology, mixed with ours. That's against protocol," said Do Hyun. "We're supposed to leave in 12 hours. Then we work fast," said Mina. "Sir, if we keep following protocol, we'll keep losing colonies. The Viralians are stronger than us right now, but they think in straight lines. Humans are good at thinking around corners." Do Hyun looked at the broken parts all around them. They were supposed to be useless, just scrap metal left behind by the winners of the battle. "What could we even make in 12 hours?" he asked. Mina smiled for the first time since they had arrived at the destroyed colony. "Something scary." Do Hyun thought for a long moment. His duty was to follow orders, but his duty was also to protect human colonies. If they kept doing things the same way, they would keep getting the same results. Finally, he made his decision. "Get Engineer Taejun," he said. "Tell him to bring his whole team and tell the ships we're staying for 48 hours. "Yes, sir," said Mina, already moving toward the communication station. "And Lieutenant," Do Hyun called after her, "if anyone asks why we're delaying, tell them we found something valuable in the ruins." Mina nodded. "We did, sir. We found hope." As Mina went to send the messages, Do Hyun looked again at the pieces of human and alien technology scattered around the building. By themselves, they were just broken parts, just scrap metal. But humans had always been good at turning scrap into something more. Chief Engineer Ryu arrived 6 hours after Commander Kim sent the message. He came with 10 of his best workers. They all looked tired, but ready to help. Taejun was a short man with thick black hair and clever hands. He had built and fixed ships for the Earth Defense Force for 15 years. "So," said Taejun after looking at the parts Mina had found, "you want to make a weapon from these broken pieces in less than 2 days?" "Yes," said Mina. "Can we do it?" Taejun laughed, but not in a happy way. "No, this is crazy. We should follow orders and leave." Commander Kim stepped forward. "Engineer Ryu, tell me honestly, if we had more time, could something be built from these parts?" Taejun walked around the room again, looking more closely at the pieces. He picked up parts, tested their weight, and checked if they still worked. "Maybe," he said finally. "If we had a month and 3 times as many people, and a proper workspace, but not like this. The Viralians will attack Proxima Colony in 5 days," said Mina. "If we leave now, more people will die. And if we stay and try your plan, we might all die for nothing," said Taejun. Commander Kim looked at both of them. "Lieutenant Park, show Engineer Ryu your idea." Mina nodded and turned on a small device. A picture made of light appeared in the air between them. It showed a tall machine shaped like a person but much bigger. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a place for someone to sit inside and control it. "Is that a mech unit?" asked Taejun, looking surprised. "Yes," said Mina, "but not like our normal mechs. This one would use both human and Viralian technology. The Earth Defense Force had mechs, but they were small and not very strong. The Viralians did not use mechs. They used ships and strange walking machines that looked like animals. Their machines were much stronger than human machines." "This makes no sense," said Taejun, looking at Mina's design. "Our technology and theirs are not made to work together." "That's what the Viralians think too," said Mina. "That's why they left these parts behind. But look at this." She pointed to a broken part of the alien ship. It had strange writing on it and was made of a metal humans did not use. "This is part of their engine," she said. "It uses crystal power. But see these connectors? They're not so different from ours. I think we can make them work together." Taejun still looked unsure. "Even if that's true, there are too many problems. The power systems are not compatible. The control systems are not compatible. And we don't have enough parts to build something this big." "Yes, we do," said another voice. They all turned to see a man standing in the doorway. He was older than the others, with gray hair and a scar on his face. His name was Hanjin, and he had been the colony's main builder before the attack. "There's more," said Hanjin. "The Viralians didn't find our underground storage. We have more parts there. And tools." Hope began to show on Taijun's face. "What kind of parts?" "Engine parts, control systems, and the frame of a mining mech," said Hanjin. "It's not a fighting machine, but it's big. We were going to use it to dig new tunnels." Commander Kim looked at Taijun. "Does that change things?" Taijun thought for a long time. Then he looked at the design again. "It might be possible," he said slowly, "but not with this design. It has too many problems." He walked to the light picture and began to change it. He made the legs shorter and stronger. He changed the arms to look more like tools than weapons. He made the middle part bigger. "If we're going to do this," he said, "we need to be smart. We can't make a normal mech. We need to make something the Viralians have never seen before, something they won't know how to fight." "Can you do it in 2 days?" asked Commander Kim. "No," said Taijun, "but I can try." "Then we start now," said Commander Kim. "Hanjin, show us this underground storage. Mina, get your people to collect all the working parts they can find. Taijun, make a list of everything you need." The room was suddenly full of movement and purpose. People who had been sad and defeated were now excited and busy. They had a plan. It might not work, but it was better than running away again. As they left the building, Mina walked beside Taijun. "Thank you for trying," she said. "Don't thank me yet," said Taijun. "This plan is still crazy." "Sometimes crazy plans are the only ones that work," said Mina. Hanjin led them to a hidden door in the ground. It opened to show a long tunnel going down. At the end of the tunnel was a large room full of machines and parts. "The colony was built to grow," said Hanjin. "We were always making new things and fixing old ones." Taijun looked around with wide eyes. There were more parts here than they had expected. And in the middle of the room stood the mining mech. It was not as big as the one in Mina's design, but it was still impressive. It had thick legs and strong arms made for digging through rock. "It's not finished," said Hanjin, "but the main parts work." Taijun walked around the mech, looking at every part. His mind was already working on how to change it, how to make it into something new. "We'll need to take it apart," he said. "Use the frame, but change everything else. The arms are too slow for fighting. The legs need to be faster, and we need to find a way to power it with the Viralian crystal." "Is that possible?" asked Commander Kim. "I don't know," said Taijun honestly, "but I want to find out." For the first time since the attack, there was energy in the air that wasn't from fires. There was hope. There was determination. Taijun looked at the mining mech again, and then at the broken piece of the Viralian ship they had brought with them. "We'll start with the power system," he said. "If we can make their crystal work with our technology, the rest might be possible." Mina smiled. "The Viralians think they destroyed everything of value here. They think they left nothing but scrap. Metal." "Let's show them how wrong they are," said Commander Kim. The work had begun. In 2 days they would know if their impossible plan could become reality. Day and night became one long blur of work. The underground room was now full of people, noise and energy. Everyone had a job to do. Some took apart the mining mech. Others cleaned and tested parts from the ruins. Taijun was everywhere at once, checking work, solving problems, and making quick decisions. "No, not like that," he told a worker who was trying to connect 2 pieces that didn't fit together. "We need to make a new connector. Find me some of that flat metal from the colony buildings." The worker ran off to get what Taijun needed. In another corner, Mina and 3 others were working on the power system. They had taken the crystal from the Viralian ship and were trying to understand how it worked. "It gives off energy," Mina said, looking at her scanner. "But not like our power systems. The energy feels different." "Can we use it?" asked Commander Kim, who was watching their work. "Maybe," said Mina. "But we need to find a way to connect it to our systems without breaking it. It's very powerful, but also very delicate." Nearby, another group was working on the control system. They were taking parts from the colony's defense systems and trying to make them work with the mining mech's controls. It was difficult work, and they had to start over many times. "We're running out of time," said Commander Kim, looking at his watch. "We've been working for 20 hours. We only have 28 hours left." "We'll make it," said Taejun, though. He looked very tired. His hands were dirty and cut from working with sharp metal. His eyes were red from not sleeping. "What can I do to help?" asked Commander Kim. "Find us more people," said Taejun, "and more tools. We're making progress, but too slowly." Commander Kim nodded and left to find more help. He went to the ships that had brought them to the colony. There were more people there waiting to leave. Some were soldiers, some were workers, and some were people who had lived in the colony before the attack. "We need help," he told them. "We're building something that might stop the Viralians from destroying another colony. If you can work with tools or carry heavy things or even just bring food and water to the workers, we need you." Many people stepped forward to help. They followed Commander Kim back to the underground room. When they saw what was happening there, some looked afraid or confused. But others understood right away and joined the work. One of the new helpers was a woman named Jia. She had lived in the colony and worked with machines before the attack. She went straight to Taejun. "I know how to connect different power systems," she said. "I did it for the colony's emergency backup power. Let me help with the crystal." Taejun looked relieved to see her. "Good. We need your help. The crystal puts out too much power. It keeps burning out our connectors." Jia looked at the crystal for a long time. Then she asked for some specific tools and parts. "I need thin wires and cooling units from the colony's food storage, and something to control the flow of power." People ran to get these things for her. While they waited, Jia explained her idea to Taejun and Mina. "The crystal makes a different kind of energy than we use. We can't connect it directly to our systems. We need to change the energy first, make it more like ours." "How?" asked Mina. "We'll use the cooling system to keep it from getting too hot, and we'll use these special wires to control how much power flows through at once. It's like a river. If too much water comes at once, it floods everything. But if we control the flow, we can use the water to make energy." When the parts came, Jia began to build her system. It took many hours, and she had to try different ways of connecting things. But finally, she turned to the others with a smile. "I think it will work now," she said. "Turn it on." Mina pressed a button on the control panel they had built. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystal began to glow with a bright blue light. The light flowed through Jia's system of wires and connectors, changing from blue to white. When it reached the end, it connected with the human power system. The human system lit up, showing it was receiving power. "It works!" shouted Mina. Everyone in the room cheered. "How much power?" asked Taejun. Mina checked the readings on her scanner. Her eyes grew wide. 3 times more than our best power systems. This was a big moment. With this much power, their machine could be much stronger and faster than they had hoped. "Now we can finish the rest," said Taejun. "Let's move." The work continued with new energy. The frame of the mining mech was now mostly taken apart. Only the strongest pieces were kept. New parts from the colony's ruins were added to make a new shape. It was still big, like the mining mech, but now it looked more like a warrior than a worker. The legs were made stronger to hold more weight. The arms were changed to move faster and hold weapons. The middle part was made bigger to hold the new power system, and at the top they built a small space where one person could sit and control the whole machine. "Who will control it?" asked Commander Kim. "I will," said Mina immediately. "I know how it works better than anyone. And this was my idea." Commander Kim looked unsure. "It will be dangerous. We don't know if it will work the way we want." "I know," said Mina, "but I have to try." By the time they had 30 hours of work, behind them the machine was taking its final shape. It stood tall in the middle of the underground room, almost touching the ceiling. It looked strange, with parts that didn't match. Some parts were from human machines, smooth and familiar. Other parts were from Viralian technology, with odd shapes and strange writing on them. "It's not pretty," said Hanjin, looking at their Creation. It doesn't need to be pretty, said Taejun. It just needs to work. They added the final parts, weapons taken from the colony's defense systems. They weren't the strongest weapons, but with the extra power from the crystal, they hoped they would be stronger than before. We need a name for it, said Gia, as they finished the last connections. Mina looked up at the machine they had built from broken parts and lost hopes. It wasn't like any machine humans had made before. It wasn't perfect or beautiful, but it was theirs. Phoenix, she said. In old Earth stories, the phoenix was a bird that died in fire but came back to life from the ashes. This machine was born from the ashes of our colony. Phoenix, repeated Commander Kim. I like it. They had just a few hours left before their time ran out. Now they needed to see if Phoenix would actually work or if all their hard work had been for nothing. The time had come to test Phoenix. Everyone stood back as Taejun made the final checks. The huge machine stood silent and still in the middle of the underground room. It looked like nothing anyone had ever seen before. Part human technology, part alien parts, all held together by hope and hard work. Power systems are ready, said Taejun. Movement systems are ready. Weapons are ready. He looked at Mina. Are you ready? Mina nodded. She wore a special suit that would help her connect to the machine's controls. I'm ready. Be careful, said Commander Kim. If anything feels wrong, shut it down right away. I will, promised Mina. She climbed up the side of Phoenix using small steps they had built into its leg. When she reached the top, she opened a small door and went inside. The control space was very small, just big enough for one person to sit. It had screens showing what was outside and controls for the machine's arms, legs, and weapons. Mina sat down and put on a special helmet. The helmet would let her control Phoenix with her thoughts, not just with her hands. This was how the mining mech had worked before, but now they had added new systems too. Starting power now, she said through a small radio. Outside, everyone watched and waited. Mina pressed the main power button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a low humming sound filled the room. The crystal power system began to glow with blue light. The light spread through the machine, following paths of wires and connections. Power is flowing, said Mina through the radio. All systems are getting energy. How does it feel? Asked Taejun. Strong, said Mina. Stronger than I expected. The crystal is giving more power than our tests showed. This was both good and bad news. More power meant Phoenix could be stronger and faster, but it also meant it might be harder to control. I'm going to try moving now, said Mina. Everyone stay back. She thought about moving Phoenix's right arm. The machine responded, lifting its arm slowly at first, then more smoothly. Next, she tried the left arm, then both legs one at a time. Each part moved as she wanted it to. It works, she said, her voice excited. The control system works. Everyone below cheered. Their hard work was paying off. Phoenix was alive. Now let's try walking, said Mina. This would be harder. The underground room was big, but not big enough for Phoenix to take more than 1 or 2 steps. And they didn't know if the machine would be balanced enough to walk without falling. Mina carefully made Phoenix lift its right foot. The huge machine shifted its weight, standing on just one leg. For a moment it seemed like it might fall, but then it steadied itself and took a small step forward. Then it took another step with its left foot. It walks, shouted Gia from below. It really walks. How does it feel? Asked Taejun. Strange, said Mina. Different from our normal mechs. The Viralian technology makes it move differently, but I think I'm getting used to it. We need to test the weapons, said Commander Kim. But not down here. We need to go outside. Moving Phoenix out of the underground room was not easy. The machine was almost too big for the doors and tunnels. Mina had to move it very carefully, inch by inch, to avoid hitting the walls or ceiling. But finally, after an hour of slow movement, Phoenix emerged into the open air. The sky was getting dark as evening came. Phoenix stood tall against the sunset, its metal parts reflecting the red and orange light. It looked even stranger outside, bigger and more impressive. Now we can really test it, said Commander Kim. We set up some targets over there. He pointed to an area where they had placed broken pieces of buildings and machines. Mina made Phoenix walk toward the targets. Its steps were more confident now, as Mina learned how to control it better. The ground shook slightly with each step of the huge machine. "Testing weapons now," said Mina through the radio. Phoenix raised its right arm. On the arm was a weapon taken from the colony's defense system. It was a kind of energy gun that shot beams of light. In normal use, it wasn't very powerful. But now it was connected to the Viralian crystal power system. Mina aimed at one of the targets and fired. A bright beam of blue-white light shot from Phoenix's arm. When it hit the target, there was a flash of light and a loud boom. When the light faded, the target was gone. There was nothing left but a small black mark on the ground. Everyone watching was silent, shocked by what they had seen. "That was you much stronger than expected," said Taejun finally. Mina tried the left arm weapon next. It was different, a kind of thrower that normally shot small explosive packets. This time, when Mina fired, the explosion was much bigger than normal. It destroyed 3 targets at once. "The Viralian power makes everything stronger," said Mina, her voice shaking a little. "Much stronger." "This changes everything," said Commander Kim. "With this kind of power, we might actually have a chance against the Viralians." They spent the next hour testing Phoenix's abilities. Each test showed that the machine was more powerful than they had hoped. The Viralian crystal gave it strength and speed that no human machine had ever had before. "There's one problem," said Taejun as they finished the tests. "The power system runs very hot. The cooling system can't keep up with the crystal's energy output." "How long can it run before overheating?" asked Commander Kim. Taejun checked his readings. "At full power, maybe 20 minutes. After that, the systems will start to fail." 20 minutes might be enough," said Commander Kim. "If we surprise the Viralians, we won't need long to make a difference." He turned to look at the whole group of people who had worked to build Phoenix. They were tired but proud, watching their creation move and work. "You've all done something amazing," he told them. "You've taken scrap metal and made it into something powerful, something that might change this war." "What's the plan?" asked Mina from inside Phoenix. "The Viralians will reach Proxima Colony in 2 days," said Commander Kim. "We'll take one of our ships and go there ahead of them. When they arrive, we'll show them what Phoenix can do." "That's very dangerous," said Taejun. "Phoenix is powerful, but it's still just one machine against a whole fleet." "Sometimes one is enough," said Commander Kim, "especially when it's something the enemy doesn't expect." As night fell on the ruined colony, Phoenix stood tall under the stars. From scrap metal left behind by the attackers, humans had built a new kind of weapon. Soon, the Viralians would learn that what they thought was trash had become something terrifying. The small human ship waited at the edge of the Proxima star system. On the bridge, Commander Kim and his crew watched their scanners. Inside the ship's cargo area, Phoenix stood ready. Mina was already in the control seat, running final checks on all systems. "They're coming," said a crew member on the bridge. "Viralian ships just entered the system." Commander Kim nodded. "How many?" 10 ships. 1 big command ship and 9 smaller attack ships. This was what they had expected. The Viralians always used the same attack plan. First, they would send their attack ships to destroy the colony's defenses. Then the command ship would come in to finish the job. "Send the message," ordered Commander Kim. The crew member pressed some buttons on his control panel. "Message sent." They waited. A few minutes later, the scanner beeped. "They're answering," said the crew member. On a big screen at the front of the bridge, a face appeared. It was not a human face. It had dark blue skin, no hair, and large black eyes. This was a Viralian commander. "Human ship," said the Viralian. "You are in restricted space. Leave now or be destroyed." "This is Commander Do-hyun Kim of the Earth Defense Force," said Commander Kim calmly. "I am here to talk about the end of this war." The Viralian made a sound that might have been a laugh. "The war will end when all human colonies are gone. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your defenses cannot stop our attacks. You have nothing to offer us." "I think we do," said Commander Kim. "We have something to show you. Something you haven't seen before." The Varalian looked curious now. "What could you possibly have that would interest us?" "Look out your window," said Commander Kim. The big cargo doors of the human ship opened. Phoenix stepped out into space. The huge machine looked even more impressive against the blackness of space and the distant stars. Its metal parts shone in the light from the system's sun. "What is that?" demanded the Varalian. "We call it Phoenix," said Commander Kim. "It's made from parts you left behind when you destroyed New Ganymede Colony. Parts you thought were just scrap metal." The Varalian looked confused and a little worried. "That thing cannot harm our ships. Our shields are too strong." "We'll see," said Commander Kim. "Phoenix, begin." Inside Phoenix, Mina took a deep breath. "Starting now," she said into her radio. She made Phoenix move forward, away from the human ship and toward the Varalian fleet. The Varalians didn't wait. Two of their smaller ships broke away from the group and flew toward Phoenix. They were fast and sleek, much faster than Phoenix. They fired energy weapons at the human machine. Mina made Phoenix dodge, but it was too slow. Some of the energy shots hit Phoenix's side, but something strange happened. Instead of damaging Phoenix, the energy seemed to flow into it, following the paths where they had placed Varalian technology. "The energy is being absorbed," said Taejun, who was watching from the human ship. "The Varalian parts are taking in their own weapon energy." Mina felt Phoenix responding differently now. It was moving faster, more smoothly. The power levels on her control panel were rising. "Their weapons are making us stronger," she said. "I don't know how, but they are." She aimed Phoenix's right arm at one of the Varalian ships and fired. The energy beam that shot out was bigger and brighter than in their tests. When it hit the Varalian ship, it went right through the ship's shields. The ship exploded in a flash of light. Everyone on the human ship cheered. For the first time, they had destroyed a Varalian ship in open battle. The other Varalian ship tried to turn away, but Mina was ready. Phoenix fired again, and this ship exploded too. On the screen, the Varalian commander looked shocked. "How is this possible? Those shields should have stopped your weapons." "Your own technology is being used against you," said Commander Kim. "You left it behind thinking it was useless. We found a way to make it work for us." The Varalian commander was angry now. "Destroy that thing," he ordered his fleet. All the remaining Varalian ships began to move toward Phoenix. They fired all their weapons at once. The space around Phoenix lit up with energy beams and explosions. Mina made Phoenix move as fast as it could, dodging some shots. But many still hit. Again, instead of being damaged, Phoenix seemed to grow stronger. The Varalian energy flowed into the machine, feeding its power systems. "Power levels are too high," warned Taejun through the radio. "The cooling systems can't keep up." "How long do I have?" asked Mina. "Maybe 5 minutes before systems start." "To fail," said Taejun. "You need to finish this fast." Mina didn't waste time. She made Phoenix fire both arm weapons at once. 2 more Varalian ships exploded. Then she flew Phoenix straight toward the command ship. The big Varalian ship fired all its weapons at Phoenix. The human machine was hit again and again, but kept coming. Parts of its outer shell were blown away, showing the glowing blue Varalian crystal inside. "1 minute left," called Taejun. "The power core is going to overload." "That's all I need," said Mina. Phoenix reached the command ship and grabbed onto its side with both hands. The Varalian ship tried to shake it off, but Phoenix held tight. "What are you doing?" demanded the Varalian commander on the screen. "Ending this battle," said Commander Kim. Inside Phoenix, Mina pressed a series of buttons on her control panel. "Escape pod launching now," she said. A small part of Phoenix's back opened, and a tiny ship shot out. "Self-destruct sequence started," said Mina from the escape pod. "Phoenix's power core will overload in 30 seconds. The tiny escape pod flew away from the command ship as fast as it could. Behind it, Phoenix still held on to the Varalian ship. The blue glow from its power core was now blindingly bright. "What have you done?" asked the Varalian commander, real fear in his voice now. "We've shown you that humans should not be underestimated," said Commander Kim. "And that nothing is ever Just scrap metal in our hands. The screen went blank as the Viralian cut the connection. 10 seconds later, there was a flash of light brighter than the system's sun. When it faded, the Viralian command ship and the remaining attack ships were gone. Only floating pieces of metal remained. The human ship flew to pick up Mina's escape. Padar. When she came onto the bridge, everyone cheered and clapped. She looked tired but happy. "We did it," she said simply. Commander Kim nodded. "Yes, we did. And we've changed everything." 6 months later, Mina stood in a big room on Earth. She wore a new uniform with new rank marks. She was now Lieutenant Commander Mina Park. In front of her stood the most important military leaders of Earth. "The Phoenix program has changed how we fight this war," said Admiral Jiho, the head of Earth's defense forces. "We are no longer running away. We are fighting back." On a big screen behind him, images appeared showing new machines like Phoenix. Some were bigger, some were smaller, but all had the same mix of human and Viralian technology. "Each of these machines is unique," continued the Admiral. "No two are the same. The Viralians cannot predict what they will do or how they will fight. And they cannot defend against their own technology used in new ways," added Mina. "They think in straight lines, we think around corners." Admiral Jiho nodded. "The Viralians have pulled back from 3-star systems already. For the first time, they are afraid." Later that day, Mina walked with Taejun through a huge building where more Phoenix-type machines were being built. "We've come a long way from scrap metal in a broken colony," said Taejun. Mina smiled. "But that's the point, isn't it? Humans have always been good at making something from nothing, at seeing value in what others throw away." They stopped in front of the biggest machine in the building. It looked like Phoenix, but more refined, more powerful. "Phoenix Prime," said Taejun proudly. "The most advanced one yet, and it's yours to command." Mina looked up at the huge machine. From scrap metal to the most advanced weapon humans had ever built. From running away to fighting back. From losing hope to finding strength. "The Viralians made a big mistake," she said. "They thought they were just leaving behind broken parts, but they were really giving us the tools to defeat them." The war was far from over. But for the first time, humans were not just surviving, they were winning. And it had all started with what the Viralians thought was just scrap metal. The end.